Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for our first midweek preview of the season. I'm very excited. Finally, some midweek games. Now, I do enjoy when we only play on weekends to some extent, but on the other hand, I'm like, the week's too long, man. Come on, give me something. So I'm very excited that we're back to playing midweek games, if I'm honest. Now, do they have to be every week for my personal preference? No. But every now and again, I say every now and again, most weeks, I'm a huge fan of midweek games, and we start with that tomorrow. The only problem is we don't just have games to talk about, because today and yesterday, I feel like I've been absolutely mental for Chelsea news, Chelsea transfer news, like the Fofana stuff. We'll get into it. Frankie de Jong travelling to London. Then it turns out he's only going to Van der Beek's wedding, which is somehow held in Fulham. Fofana is also doing this medical in the US, which we will discuss, which is a bit strange. Aubameyang, maybe we'll pull out of that. Who do we get instead? Hudson-Odoi is going on loan. Barkley's contract has been terminated. It's all kicking off. We have lots to get through today. So let's not waste any more time. Charlie, I've just spent the last 2 minutes talking to Pies before we went live, but I haven't actually said hello to you as you just joined during the stream. So first of all, thank you for being here. Appreciate it very much as always, mate. Firstly, how are you? And secondly, a lot of news these well, kind of mostly today, but I guess also yesterday. There's a lot going on. What do you think about everything that's happening? It's quite crazy at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, no, first of all, thanks, Andy, as always, mate. All good with me. Yeah, I mean, it's just standard, isn't it? When you've got sort of 3-4 days until the window closes, when clubs know that Chelsea are still looking to do business, still need to bring players in. You're going to get all sorts of stuff coming out. Some of it true, some of it perhaps not as true as it's being made out to be. And it's just part and parcel of the transfer window. It's become such a kind of a circus now as you head towards a deadline day that you're always going to be linked with certain players, certain things are happening. And every small detail now with social media and stuff is like proper honed in on, everything's made out to be a massive deal. Oh, so-and-so's like on an aeroplane. All that means he's doing this, this and this and whatever. Like people get proper carried away with it when in reality, like most of the important stuff that happens, you'll find out about it, and all the other little bits and pieces are kind of just a bit of a nothing, really. But yeah, no, it's exciting times when you get near towards the end of the window, particularly when your club's still got business to do, waiting to see who comes in. And yeah, there's been a lot of news coming out the last couple of days with Chelsea. It's exciting. Kind of the same players that we sort of know that we've got an interest in or have been on the list, they've been discussed internally or whatever, but it's just waiting for that to come to fruition, and hopefully we do get one or two more through the door, because it's definitely needed.
100%. On the other hand, though, like I say, not just news to talk about. Of course, we do also have a game tomorrow. Now, you were at the bridge on the weekend, which is, of course, why I didn't actually get to talk to you after the game. Harmed ourselves again, because that's just what we do. We don't do things easy, do we? Got ourselves a man sent off after 28 minutes, but still came away with the 3 points. Now, was it always pretty? Did we need a little bit of luck towards the end when they hit the bar and stuff? Sure. But especially compared to the weekend before, where we made a mistake ourselves and then completely capitulated and bottled it, we kind of did the exact opposite against Leicester. Like, we could have easily capitulated with that red card like we did at Leicester, but we didn't. We actually, this time, showed a little bit of character and got the win. Now, conceding that one goal after going 2-0 up was completely unnecessary. Otherwise, it would have been a much more calmer end of the game and would have been a lot more relaxing for everybody involved. But we did what we had to do and we got the 3 points. So from that perspective, it's kind of like almost the opposite of the Spurs game, where we played really well and the result was the bad thing. And against Leicester, the good thing was the result, and so we did the opposite of against Leeds, but actually showing some character. So the fact that we didn't capitulate and kind of bounced back after capitulating the week before, did that give you some positivity going into the rest of the season? Or how do you feel about that now that it's, well, a few days after, I suppose?
Well, I think it's the important thing, as you said, mate, was the fact that we dug in and we showed character and we showed a strong mentality, because we've seen numerous times before, not just under Thomas Tuchel, but under previous managers, that generally speaking, when the going gets tough, like we just hide, we just disappear. There's weak mentalities, and that's something that's got to change. I've banged on about it for a long time, but that's one thing that's got to change. And that was a big positive from the game, that this wasn't just sort of 10, 15 minutes of 10 men. This was 70 minutes of 10 men. That's a big stint with being a man down. And look, Leicester aren't playing well. They've lost all their games. They haven't bought any players in or whatever. We've just nicked their best player, one of their best players off them. Like, things aren't going well for them, but they still got some decent players there. The likes of Vardy, Harvey Barnes and whatnot. like Tielemans. They've got good players in there that can cause some damage for sure. But yeah, the biggest thing was getting the win, getting the reaction from Leeds. Obviously, we started with a 4 at the back. That kind of experiment was, you can't really judge it from that game because we had it for 25 minutes or so, and then we had to man down to revert things back. So that was a kind of not really anything to read into that. But yeah, most importantly, showing character, showing a reaction, staying strong, and bouncing back from that Leeds performance was vital because when you're half hour into the game and you're a man down, having just been battered 3-0 the previous weekend, thinking, oh shit, this is going to be a long afternoon. We could be in trouble here. But we did really well. I thought we played pretty well considering we were a man down. Yes, we rode our luck at times. Vardy for a couple of times one-on-one. You'd expect someone of his quality to do much better with that. And yeah, we were a little bit lucky, but at the end of the day, we dug in and we showed character. And that was really important. I think that's something that we can take forward as well, is that, we can get ourselves out of difficult situations. We don't have to fold and just collapse. So yeah, I'm hoping we can take that forward. But yeah, the main thing was to get the win, and everything else in the circumstances didn't really matter.
There you go. No, I do agree. I will say one last thing before I take this to Pies. Now, I'm not sure if Thomas Tuchel does this as well, but I know there are some managers out in the world that actually train to play with 10, just because like every now and again, it just does happen that you get a man sent off. Now, obviously, you never wanted and expected to be for 70 minutes or over an hour anyway. But some managers do coach it. Now, like I said, I don't know if Tuchel does or not, but regardless of whether he does or not, I think the fact that, I don't know, I think having a 70-minute spell, and then if you come out the positive end of it and you actually win the game, I think can actually be a good thing. Because when we get a man sent off in any game for the rest of the season, number one, there will be more confidence in that from that point in the team. We're like, okay, we already won with 10 men when we had it for way longer. We can deal with this. It makes it less of a reason to capitulate from. And also, it's just them not only getting the confidence from it, but also getting used to what we need to do when we're only down to 10 men. So I think there can be positives taken from that fact itself, even if obviously you don't want it to happen in the first place. But then once it happens, you can still, as they say, life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Yeah, it's kind of one of them ones. But Pies, let me take it to you. And why don't we start? Actually, you know what? I actually also want to hear your thoughts on the Leicester game. Sorry, guys, we will get to the news in a second, but, I haven't heard all of Pies' thoughts on it as well. So, Pies, thank you for being here as always, my friend, first and foremost. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Similar thoughts to Charlie? Do you agree with myself that there are positives to take, even if obviously the performance could have been a lot better in all regards?
Yeah, it was one of those, really. I think we dug in deep. We did really, really well considering we had 10 men. And it's always hard, as you said, to train with 10 men because you don't know which player is going to get sent off in which position and things like that. So the fact that it was in midfield was probably the worst thing that could have happened. But I was really impressed with our reaction to it. I thought it would completely kill the game. And as Charlie said, I mean, some people were saying to me, and I was thinking this as well, on another day, Vardy scores those chances and we probably lose the game. And then I was like, well, on another day, Sterling scores 3 and it's 3-0, or you know what I mean? So it's one of those, we did well. We did really, really well. I thought Thiago Silva was just, honestly, he was unbelievable to watch live as per usual. He was just literally every time something happened in the box, he was there to sweep it up. He was there like anticipating before it even happened. Like it was ridiculous. And I saw some people blaming Mendy for the Harvey Barnes goal, but I know it was near post, but the amount, like the how quick he hit that, like you see it literally rocketed in the net. So I don't know if Mendy had too much of a chance of that, especially watching it on replays. I was like, well, okay, fair enough. That was a really, really
You know what I'll say before we move on from the Mendy thing, just to also get your thoughts on that. I'll just say a good goalie, fair enough. Sometimes you can concede a goal like that. A world-class goalie shouldn't. Now, that's then where the question comes up. Do we all think of Mendy still as a world-class keeper as we did like 6 months ago? Then we should be a bit annoyed at him, I think. But if we accept that he's maybe not quite world-class, then I don't think we should be too harsh. It's almost like it depends on what our opinion of him is, whether we should be blaming him for it or not. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's got world-class abilities still, but he's definitely not playing at a world-class level. That's for sure. That was the difference. He definitely was playing at a world-class level before, and he's not now. So, yeah, to be honest, I was more disappointed with his goal kick that actually led to the goal. I mean, Havertz kind of went sort of 50-50 in it. I thought, that's a bit, but both of them, I was like, come on, you do a bit better there. But Yeah, overall, we dug in. Sterling got his goals. Brilliant movement on the second goal. Fantastic cross. Obviously, the first goal was deflected, but nice to see a Chelsea player actually even take on a shot from that range.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we had chances. So yeah, I was happy with it, and just my main takeaway from the game, honestly, Thiago Silva was just like, if I had to give a player rating, I would have given him like 1,000 out of 10. I thought he was just absolutely ridiculous, and the way he was just smashing his chest at the fans at full time as well, and like, trust me, from 80 minutes to that 90-minute period, like I've never seen better defended in the world. He was literally at the heart of everything. As I said, it was more like he's just so calm. Like there was one point where there was two fans in front of me just started bowing down to him because he literally, like, they were doing like the bowing down thing to him, and it was literally like there was one moment in the box. I think someone took it into the box, and I think it might have been Vardy, and he just came from nowhere, came across from the second centre back position over to right centre back, and just swept the ball up and just played it like simple pass. And I was just like honestly, it's just it's levels, man. It's levels. So. Yeah, he was absolutely screwed at the end of the game as well. Like he was down on his knees. Like
he was like, even in the first half already, he went down for a minute.
So, he was fucked at the end of the game. But like you saw John Terry's tweet, like I love that guy so much, man. Every time I go and watch him, like even on TV, it's just he's brilliant.
There you go. I mean, Thomas Tuchel also said it post-game, especially because we had to sit a little bit deeper once we obviously down to 10 men. And he said, when Thiago can especially do that, just defend his box rather than making sure he has to defend counterattacks as well. Even Tuchel said it. He's like the best at it. And like Pies has just explained, there's not a lot of people that are better at that than he is. Pies, before we take it to news, just want to react to two comments in the chat here. Number one here by EE saying, man, he is world class, but it's pure waffle to say world class keepers don't concede from post. Now, that's not what I said. You need to pay attention to what I say. I said, when a world class keeper concedes the front post, it's a mistake. Every player in the world makes mistakes, no matter whether you're world class or not. Like, it happens. Every human in the world makes mistakes, right? No matter whether you're good at something or not good at something, it happens that you make mistakes. But someone that's not world class, we shouldn't criticize too harshly for that happening every now and again. But someone that is world class needs to be said, well, that's a mistake that shouldn't happen. Still, it happens, but it shouldn't happen. It's a different story than saying it never happens. Very different story. And here we have a very funny Man United fan who has seemingly not realized that they have signed Antony for 100 million euros. In my opinion, probably the craziest transfer in all of football history. Now, it might turn out well for them, and fair play if it does. But as of right now, considering the guy's best season has been 9 goals and 7 assists, in the same league that Mason Mount at 18, did better than that. It's the most mental thing I've ever had in my whole life. Now, we might beat it. We might beat it if we still go and sign Anthony Gordon, which is looking unlikely. But if we go beat that, we might have the stupidest transfer in all of history. But as of right now, I feel like it might be them. And they might have the second one as well with Harry Maguire. So, well done, United. But, that's a different discussion for a different day. Pies. Let's take it to some news. And let's start it off. We just mentioned Anthony Gordon. David Ornstein today said that basically any deal for Anthony Gordon at this point is very, very unlikely. Is that the latest?
Yeah, it's looking increasingly slim. He was saying there's a still big difference in valuation between the two clubs. I was listening to the Athletic Football podcast as well, and he was saying, going into a bit more detail, he said that essentially, like, Everton don't really have much time left to get a replacement, and there's just like he thinks, obviously. So there was that rumored 50 plus 10 bid, wasn't there? But he said it never actually went in. It was just like Chelsea were hinted that they could do it, but he said we never actually did it. It never formally went in. And he said that Everton are just like, there's a big difference in valuation, and Chelsea's ownership aren't willing to go to the point of where Everton want them to go to, essentially. So I don't think that one's going to happen unless something is worked out with someone else in the deal. But I think, I mean, even Lampard said it last week. He said, he's staying. There's got to be a red line here. I'm very close to it. So I don't see that one happening. But who knows? I mean, I didn't see Fofana happen at a certain point, and that happened. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will see. The tough one is that obviously now that Anthony has left or is basically confirmed to be a Manchester United player, we all knew that Hakim Ziyech would potentially join Ajax if they sold Anthony. Now, they apparently still want him on loan, and we have actually lowered our demands, which I find weird. They just got 100 million. I know euros, but still 100 million euros for Anthony. Surely we should raise our demands, not lower them, because they clearly have all the money in the world, right? But sure. Apparently for lower that amount, but they only want him on loan, so they don't want that, which I find a bit strange. But regardless of that, we know Hudson-Odoi is going on loan. We'll talk about that in more detail in just a minute. And we might let Ziyech go. We definitely need a winger if we let both go. Like, I think we need a winger even if we let one go. But if we let both go, we most definitely need a winger. So I find that very odd. Now, we'll get to Aubameyang again in a minute, but Pisces, like, are we linked to any other wingers? Like, the closest to it is probably Zaha, but he's a striker or a left winger. Certainly not right winger, which is where we're letting all the players go. So I've not heard anyone for that position since Anthony Gordon, really. So I'm a little bit confused now that looks like it won't happen, unless we just keep Ziyech in the end and, that's okay in Tuchel's mind. I don't know if that will be the case. But if we let two go and Callum is done, right? So this is a bit confusing to me. Like, it's August 29th. We don't have that long to go. So if we need a winger and want a winger, then we should probably, get moving.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Something might be going on behind the scenes. It's just interesting to me how Zaha's name has been linked more to if we don't get Aubameyang, which is kind of strange because Zaha's more of a winger. But
do you see him as more of a winger? I see him as more of a striker for our system, not in general. But for how we play, I think he suits us more as the top guy than any of the wide areas, because I think as a winger, he needs to be counter-attacking. I think as a striker, he can do more.
I don't know, maybe, but I think if you had Zaha and Sterling on the wings, which then again is the debate with Gordon, it's like then you have to maybe change formation because of Mount, but we'll get onto him in a bit. But yeah, I mean, Zaha, I think I do see him more as a winger, but maybe for our system, Tuchel sees him more as like a striker. Yeah, I don't know. There's obviously been, I think, was it the Pino guy, Jeremy Pino from Villarreal? Apparently, we've been scouting him. Obviously, Adama Traore, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still on the list somewhere. And others, I think others could come up. I mean, Fabrizio did say that Zaha and others had just been some of the options discussed internally. So I don't think everything is fully revealed yet. And, with the transfer window, like, I think anything can happen. Like, even like Pedro Neto, right? Arsenal wanted him. Looks like Wolves don't want to sell, but who knows? We may just offer more. Like, we may offer Gordon money for Neto, and then they might let him go. I don't know. Like, there's definitely got to be more options than just Zaha and Aubameyang, and there 100% will be. Like, Chelsea aren't just putting all their eggs in that basket for sure. Like, serious clubs don't do that.
While I agree with that, when there's only 3 days remaining, there's also a thing called too many baskets. Do you know what I mean?
And maybe a panic buy, which you might see, but we'll see.
Yeah. Exactly. But I do actually think Jester makes a fair point here. Now, we all are a little bit annoyed at some points that Havertz plays no matter what. But if we sign, especially if it's Aubameyang, less so I think if it's Zaha, but say it's either of them, and then someone comes in to be up front, I don't see Tuchel just only making Havertz a rotational striker. I don't see that, because I think he likes him too much, and I think he rates a lot of the things that Havertz does too much. Now, does he always do what us as fans want him to do? Not always. But there's a lot of things that Thomas Tuchel, I think, likes a lot. So I think Jester might actually have a point, even though I think it will make Havertz even worse if you actually have to play on the right more consistently. But that's a different question. Taking it to Charlie, though, what do you think of this situation? Now, Anthony Gordon seems very unlikely, which I'm personally very happy about. Like, brilliant news. Thank you, Lampard, for saving us again by making him too expensive. Love that. But we still need something. Or do you think Jester has a point and that's what he said will happen? I mean, some people in the chat are talking about Ismail Assar from Watford, who I'm still baffled had no one assigned, because even in the Premier League, he was pretty good, very good player.
Oh, he was meant to go to Aston Villa. They agreed a fee on that, and it all fell through last minute.
Exactly.
He was meant to go to Villa.
Should get him for reasonably cheap, right? So I would be quite on board with that.
But I mean, he's another one that's like on these famous lists, these guys that are discussed internally. He's another one that's kind of been on that list. I suppose you could see that as maybe as a last minute, I don't know if panic's the right, but a sort of out the box alternative. But yeah, for sure, we definitely need something else up there. I'm fully on board with the Zaha deal. Like, for me, it ticks the boxes. It's Premier League proven, which we're looking to very much sign this summer with the majority of our players. You see Fofana, Cucurella, and Sterling. This would be another one, Premier League experience, Premier League proven. And it fits kind of what Tuchel's looking for, someone that's like a versatile forward. So not just a striker, but someone that can play down the middle effectively, someone that can play off one of the flanks effectively as well. So I think that it kind of ticks a lot of boxes, the Zaha one. I'm just surprised why I've not maybe pushed a little bit harder. Because I think, yes, Aubameyang's a priority, but the owners have clearly got money to spend, or they're willing to spend the money. So I don't see why we couldn't try and get Aubameyang and Zaha. Why has it got to be kind of Zaha as a backup if Aubameyang falls through? I'd be fully on board with both. But for me, if it was a choice, I think I probably prefer Zaha just because he's like, he's 3-4 years younger at 29. He's got that. I know Aubameyang has been versatile, but I mean, would you really want Aubameyang to play down the left or right side at 33? I mean, I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but I'd rather have Zaha doing it.
Oh, I'm saying he couldn't do it.
I mean, I'd rather have Zaha doing it. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad that Gordon seemingly isn't coming. No disrespect to the lad, but it's a ridiculous amount of money to be spending on someone who is still fairly unproven in the league. And if we fancy going back in a couple of years' time when he's developed more, then we can sort of redo that. But yeah, I think we definitely need ones coming in with obviously Callum going out, Ziyech potentially going out to Ajax, whether it's loan or permanent, whatever it ends up being. We definitely need one, if not two, I think, because we'd be leaving ourselves short.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now, personally, I'm like, with the same reason I just responded to Pice with, that's why I'm not sure about if we did Aubameyang and Zaha, just because I'm not sure how much I see Zaha as a right-sided player, and I don't want Sterling to have to play on the right. I know Pice quite likes it, he does well for England there, but I feel like, yes, he can be good there, but only put Sterling on the right if you have a goal machine elsewhere. And I don't think Aubameyang will be a goal machine. He will get goals, but I don't think it will be as what I would call a goal machine. Or Zaha wouldn't either, in my opinion. So then, in my opinion, you need to leave Sterling on the left because he gets more goals from that position than he does from the right. And I think we are so desperate for goals that we can't put Sterling in a position where he scores less goals, which is why I'm not so sure about Zaha and Aubameyang. But that takes us... Brilliant segue there, Charlie. Takes us basically straight to the next topic anyway, of Aubameyang, where it's talked about, again, by David Ornstein, so it doesn't get a lot more reliable than this, even if he said we are probably unwilling to go over 70 million for Fofana, and we did. But anyway, that we're having second thoughts, kind of doubts over the signing of Aubameyang, with the fee that Barcelona seem to be demanding, with his wages that he is demanding, and his, age as well. So, Pice, number one, what have I summarized that well, or is there anything that I haven't mentioned on that? And also, what do you think of it? I mean, those were, in my opinion, always my concerns. But I did also say 3 or 4 days ago, I can't remember when it was, I think in a preview to the Leicester game, I was talking about how, at this point, with only having so many days in the window remaining, I'm like, if we had those thoughts, we should have thought those thoughts a little bit sooner and not wasted so much time trying to sign Flippin' Aubameyang, and could have already focused on somebody else weeks ago. Right? That's the only part I don't understand. I'm like, well, we knew how old he was. We knew how much Barcelona wanted. Maybe we thought they would give him to us for less, but if that was our hope, we will kind of backfire that one. And the wages, again, we also didn't notice since yesterday. So I'm a little bit confused why doubts are starting to creep in at Chelsea over him all of a sudden. But I don't mind. Now, what I'm still not sure about is whether I think Zaha or Aubameyang would be better. I think Zaha would be better for our overall team play. I think Aubameyang would score more goals. Now, what's better? That's then a debate of how everyone sees football, I think, kind of. And it also depends on how many goals then the others would score by us playing better with Zaha. The disrespect on Oba is still mad, RD says. Well, I mean, I see what you're saying to some extent. But it's also like, would you want Diego Costa right now? It's a bit of a difference to what Aubameyang has got in the last 2 years. I get that, but just because someone used to be good doesn't mean they're still good. You know, that's what happens. But Pice, your thoughts on apparently doubts over Aubameyang, and also what you kind of think of that whole situation. That if we now pull out, what do you think? Then we've had a bit of a stinker.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one. You've kind of got the two big guns, I'd say, in the journalist world, with Fabrizio and Ornstein kind of saying different things, at least on the personal terms. Fabrizio kind of replied to, I think it was Simon Phillips this morning, saying, well, Fabrizio said the personal terms were done. He replied, well, they are done. They were agreed 2 weeks ago in London in a meeting. So, I mean, I don't know who to believe here. They're both obviously very, very reliable journalists. Maybe been fed different bits of information, but Yeah, I think at least, or I'd like to think at least with the Rafinha saga, that we would agree personal terms with players now before we would go in and negotiate. So I do believe that personal terms are most likely probably done. But yeah, we definitely want to pay a certain amount for Aubameyang, and rightly so. And I think the thing that's clear to me is that we're clearly trying to include Alonso in the deal, because. And even Fabrizio said this morning, like, Chelsea want to get rid of Alonso because the thing is, it's like, how Barca are apparently saying to us, well, we want that to be in a separate negotiation. Chelsea supposedly don't trust Barca's word and they want him gone now in case that, say we pay for Aubameyang, then Chelsea go, right, should we negotiate for Alonso? Then Fabrizio's saying, well, Chelsea think Barca might go, no, we've got another left-back target now. So they're kind of like putting Alonso in this deal to make sure he actually fully goes, but at the same time, there's no break for him.
Let me add something to that. And we'll talk about it in more detail in a minute, but with Barkley's contract being terminated today, I wouldn't even be surprised if Barcelona would hope that we just terminate Alonso's contract and they can get him for free.
I mean, who knows?
And I would understand in their position, I would maybe do the same thing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think I don't know what I think, to be fair. I think it may go to a deadline day or a Wednesday or maybe even tomorrow. I don't think anything's going to happen today. But yeah, I'll be intrigued because I would much prefer Zaha, to be honest, out of the two of them. But again, you raise a good point. It's like Zaha's probably makes us play maybe more fluid and better as a team. But you'd like to think Aubameyang would get more goals than Zaha, even though Zaha's scoring a lot lately. So, I mean, as you said, why not try and get both? Why not? Like, try, we've got money. If we, if Gordon's, we're 60 mil, Zaha and Aubameyang, I don't think it's going to be too much over that together. So
do you know actually how much Zaha would roughly cost us if we were to go for that? Is there a fee that is likely that it would take?
I mean, the talk, I know they're not the most reliable. The TalkSport correspondent, Alex Crook, said he had information that would be around 40 to 45 mil. Which I still think is very high.
I can't lie.
Yeah, it's still a lot. He said that there was a point.
Not that much left on his contract.
Yes, so he's got 1 year left, but he said so earlier on in the window he could go for less, but because now they've got like so little time, they've upped the price or something. Yeah,
you've got to understand that as well. To be fair.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens on that, and I just wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea, what deadline day is like. Like, did we ever? I mean. Obviously, we didn't expect Saul last year, so who knows what name could come up. It's what I love about it, because I love it and I'm nervous, because you never know what's going to happen towards the end, and yeah, that's what's exciting about it.
Very much so, very much so. I mean, like I say, just get one of them. I don't like or both of them if you want to. I'd rather that than Gordon, but just get it done. That's what I want. I'm a little bit concerned that we will end the window and not get enough forwards, and then sit here and be like, well, what the fuck? We don't have enough forwards to go into the season. That's what I'm a little bit concerned about.
Like you said as well, it's like if Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi go, Hudson-Odoi has just landed in Germany, by the way. I've seen a video of it. So he's definitely gone. So if Ziyech goes, then we absolutely need a winger. We absolutely need one. So, I mean, you'd like to think maybe that we might get two attackers, but I just like two attackers in 3.5 days now. That's kind of mad. So we need something to him.
Sorry, I was just a little bit distracted by a very confusing comment in the chat. Ignore me. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, just like I say, just get it done. Do you know what I mean? Just get it the flip done. But we need one, and that's a good topic of discussion. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Now, Charlie, I'll take it to you. It's going to be a loan without an option to buy, which I'm happy about, because I don't think we should be giving up on him yet, personally. Now, as much as he triggered me back in 2019 with his transfer request, and I'm still not fully over it, but because I personally think that transfer request is the reason he didn't get a loan earlier, which if he just got a loan earlier, he would be 3 times the player he is right now. That's why that 2019 thing still irks me. Because if he didn't hand the transfer request, he wouldn't have got that huge new contract. And without that huge new contract, it would have been much easier to loan him out. So, and obviously his brother not always not wanting him to be loaned out, because he must be the worst agent in the world. Like, he literally ruined his own brother's career to some extent. Like, what an awful brother to have, honestly. Like, imagine that. Imagine your brother is the guy that ruined your career. You'd be fuming. But anyway,
you could have a worse brother. You could have Pogba's brother. So you could,
to be fair. Yeah. Bloody hell. I haven't even read all of that. But
mate,
what
it's
is this
mad.
voodoo shit?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
It's like it's like the African curse that Yaya or what was it? Someone linked to Yaya Toure put on Pep Guardiola that meant City would never win the Champions League as long as he was there, and they still haven't won it since that curse has apparently been laid on
still
it.
haven't won it. maybe Hardman has brought some Norwegian voodoo. Who knows? But
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. To be fair, but when I see his hat trick, I'm like, this is what I wanted when we signed Lukaku. This is what I wanted Ireland, but no. Fuck's sake, we don't even have a striker other than Broja. I don't have a problem with Broja, but our manager seemingly does. But Charlie, your thoughts on Hudson-Odoi's loan to Leverkusen? I think in general, Leverkusen is a very good place to loan him to.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's well overdue now. I think he's probably should have gone on loan a couple of seasons ago, or definitely on loan at some point before now. It's going to be great for his development. He's going to play regular football. Champions League football as well, and we've seen a lot of young English players go over to the Bundesliga and have good success. Jadon Sancho being the obvious example. He'll get the confidence. He'll be a new league, new experience. He's going to play with some exciting players as well. Florian Wirtz, Moussa Diaby there as well, and Patrick Schick up front as well. So that's kind of formulating the basis of a exciting attacking kind of quartet, depending on how Leverkusen set up and play.
They in general have a good team. They just never play as well as you'd expect from their squad. It's very strange.
Well, yeah. But it'll be good for him. He needs to play regular football. We saw last season, towards the start of the season, when he played sort of 7, 8, 9 starts in a row, we actually saw him playing some decent football. This is a kid that needs to play regularly. And I think when you're young, you have to play regularly. But I think the really key thing is that there's no buy option in there. Leverkusen wanted an option. Chelsea insisting not to have an option. I think that's proof to show that they know that Callum's good and they've not given up on him, because if they weren't that arsed on him, that option would have still been in there. Yeah. But they know that there's still a half-decent player there.
Don't you think that we're a little bit hoping that if it's a really good loan, his value goes up?
Yeah,
so if we gave them an option already now, because Bayern were already interested. So if he goes to Leverkusen and has a banging Bundesliga season, wouldn't be surprised if Bayern come knocking again with another 50-60 million pound offer.
Well, this is the thing. You look at it two ways, can't you? You can look at it like they still believe in the player, or you can look at it, let's hope this guy has a really good loan spell and it could be worth, his value could increase. So yeah, you can look at it both ways. But I think it ticks all the boxes, mate. As you say, Champions League football, new league, gets away from like sort of the limelight of the Premier League. The Bundesliga not as, it's still big, but it's not under the same microscope as the Premier League is. He can just kind of go and live his life, get on with his football. It ticks all the boxes, man.
In Germany, they don't care about the Bundesliga.
Yeah, but in terms of, do you know what I mean? Though, in terms of like how the media coverage and whatnot, it's not as covered as the Premier League is, but yeah, I think it ticks all the boxes, mate. And I hope he does really well, because there's a top player in there still, and I think he still has got a lot to give at Chelsea. And still, with the fact that he's 21, maybe just 22, like, he's got so much time on his hands to still develop into a top player. So, yeah, I hope it works out for him, but it's a great move, and I think it's the right thing.
There you go. And HM, just to react to that comment quickly before we move on to talking about Fofana. Yes, last year is when Callum finally decided, okay, I want to loan no matter what my brother tells me. Tuchel blocked it. Now, in hindsight, looking at it a year later, that was really stupid. We should have just accepted it last year, because then we might have him already now and would be in less winger trouble. But and the Bayern bids, those were loans with options to buy, but only options that chances are Bayern probably wouldn't have taken up, which is why we refused it. And of course, he was happy to join because he was happy with a permanent transfer. That's why he handed in a transfer request. But him and his brother never wanted a loan until last year. So that's that, I think, anyway, unless I'm wrong. But that's how I remember the whole situation anyway. But let's get to Wesley Fofana. We finally got our second centre-back. Now, I don't think he's put pen to paper quite just yet, because he's doing the second part of his medical in the United States, in New York. Now, obviously, the United States will have some top-class doctors as well. There is a lot of sports injuries in the US, especially in terms of bone breakages. Breakage is the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm trying to say. From the NFL and ice hockey and stuff like that. So maybe they're just a little bit more better. Maybe we're better for ACL stuff, and they're better for, when I say we, Europeans, and they with Americans. Maybe the broken bones, they're experts on. I don't know. But I feel like London, surely you'll have enough experts. You don't need to send a Donny to the US for a medical. And then come back and Tuchel will say in the press conference on Friday, Fofana is still jet lagged from when he went to New York. That's why he can't play on Saturday. I'm like, for flip's sake. Do you know what I mean? I can already see it coming. But in general, I'm just very happy. Whether it's 70 million plus 5 and we go to the 75, or whether it's 68 plus 7 million to go to the 75, I don't really care. He's not the most expensive centre back in the world, which is already a good start. We don't want that extra pressure on him as a player and us as a team with all of those things added. But I'm just happy we got a man. But I don't really understand why he's doing a medical in the US. Pies. Now, number one, do you know why he's doing a medical in the US? And also, number two, just share your thoughts that we finally got him, even though it took us way longer than it should have done to sign that second centre-back that we needed since May. But better late than never, I suppose.
Yeah, I asked a couple of people this morning, they were saying, basically it's kind of what Ornstein and everyone else was saying, that the fact they want to, specifically, I think Todd Bowley wants to check on a certain specific doctor or something that he's used in the past for Fofana's like injuries and things like that. So again, maybe as well they might want to announce him in the US. I know they can't do that for every signing, fly him out to the US, but while he's there, you would probably imagine, he's in New York, so you probably imagine you'd get some good pictures as well. So yeah, I think it's a standard procedure, to be honest, when you're spending £70 million. They're new owners as well. They want to be 100% sure. And again, it's not to say that there isn't specialists in London or whatever, because there is, but, American doctors and things, it's just the new ownership's decision, I guess, at the end of the day. And it is what it is. It doesn't make too much of a difference to me because he wasn't expected to play tomorrow anyway. It's just it would make a difference, as you said, if he doesn't play on Saturday. And the reason why he didn't play was because he flew out to the US and he's jet lagged. But hopefully
at least it's New York and not LA, so it's something.
Yeah, I think he should be back in plenty of time. Even someone mentioned to me that there was Todd Bowley's apparently private jet is due back at Farnborough Airport tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. So potentially that is Fofana flying back as well.
Could be. Obviously, these guys fly in, well, probably not private. Well, it might be private, in all honesty. Bowley might have sorted that. But even if not, it's first class, and then, they'll have a nice time. They'll have a nice little...
Pretty sure they were saying...
celebrating his signing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
have a good time.
I'm pretty sure they were saying that it was the same one that Sterling and... not Koulibaly, who was it? Sterling and Broja flew out together, I think, on the same jet. So, same number and everything. So, we'll see. I'll have to check that, see if it's coming from New York, because if it is, it probably is him, I'd say.
There is, Jester, to be fair, but can also come to my town for that one. Mostly for knees, but, all the Bayern players and, who was it? And Chiesa, they all got surgery where I live. So, you don't all need to go to the US. But, if that's what he thinks is necessary. I personally don't understand that. Surely, in that scenario, you would fly the doctor here and not the player to the doctor. Surely. That would be my thinking. But anyway, it is what it is. Now, someone in the chat here, Texas did. I didn't have time to tune into your stream earlier, but you had Ben Jacobs on your channel. And did he say a potential explanation of why the medical was held there, or is Texas reading something into?
No, he did, mate. But I've got to be perfectly honest, I can't remember it. So no, but it was along the lines of what Pice was saying in terms of the fact that he just wants to be sure they're investing a huge amount of money in this player. They just want to make sure everything's right, and they'd rather do it in the States for their own peace of mind. And then he did go on to mention something about insurance, but I actually can't remember what it was, so that's really unhelpful. Sorry, mate.
It's all good. I don't really understand how insurance could possibly have anything to do with that anyway, personally.
No, I don't know, sure. But yeah. there was a reason for it, but I don't know what it is.
I wonder if we'll go to, I don't know, a brain surgeon if we sign Anthony Gordon just for our own stupidity, just to make sure we're not being idiots. I don't know. And by the way, I know I'm super harsh like Anthony Gordon. I don't want people to think I'm Pies and people talking about this yesterday. I'm aware he's not as shit as I'm making him out to be. I'm very aware of this. But it's also I also want to make very sure we don't sign the guy, because even if he's not super shit, he's still not good enough for us, in my opinion.
This is Pies level of Timo Werner abuse, bro. After match
it is true. But hey, we haven't signed him yet. If we do sign him, I won't do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm only doing that before we've signed him. If we did sign him, I wouldn't lose my shit about it. But regardless, Charlie, in the end, happy that we signed Fofana, or that we are in the process of signing Fofana, shall we say?
Oh, mate, delighted. It's about time. It's a long, long time. But one thing one thing Ben Jacobs did actually say to me was in terms of like just praising Bowley and the new ownership group, is that he was saying that under the previous regime, under Marina and stuff, they were absolutely convinced that there was zero chance of this deal happening whatsoever. They weren't even going to entertain looking at it. And Bowley's come in and just said, look, we'll try it. We'll just see what happens. And they've managed to get a deal done. So I think that's obviously a big tick in his box. Just like the fact that we're just trying things. I think a big thing in the past has been like, we just haven't even bothered trying. We've kind of given up before we've even had a go. Even if the answer is no, we should still try. So I think it's good to see that Bowley is actually, even if something might seem off limits, he's still going to go and explore it anyway, just to make sure. Whereas previously that hasn't always been the case, which is a big plus. But yeah, mate, I'm delighted we've got him in. We needed a centre-back. We've been banging on about it for ages. It's been a long, drawn-out pursuit. And we've finally done it. And he's a top-class player. He's going to slot seamlessly into that back three, can also play in a back four. He's going to learn from the likes of Silva, Koulibaly, even Azpilicueta as well, with all his experience. Yeah. You know, they help him settle into the club, help him become a better professional and whatnot. And yeah, mate, it ticks all the boxes. And I'm delighted. I just can't wait to see him in the Chelsea shirt. Hopefully, he's okay to play against West Ham on Saturday. But yeah, mate, it ticks all the boxes. It's a phenomenal signing. And yeah, I haven't really got much else to add on it. But it's a top draw signing, and I think it makes for me, mate. I think it makes our defensive options one of the best out there in European football. The pool of defenders you've got to choose from, because it really is something quite special. So yeah, I'm delighted with it, mate, and it's about time.
Yeah, no, I'm delighted as well. Now, a lot of people are talking about overspending and this and that, and I'm like, well,
it's subjective though, isn't it?
Overspending. And if you're young enough that you haven't seen that you don't know what your electricity bill looks like, ask your parents. Shit is getting more expensive, and that includes footballers.
Overspending's so subjective though, isn't it? It's only an overspend if he does shit. If he does well, no one mentions the thing.
Wait, we've not even broke the record for him. I thought he was 100%. Like a week ago, they was talking about like 80 plus add-ons, and now there's people saying it's like under 75. Like we've done ridiculously well to get this.
He's cheaper than you got him for cheaper than Liverpool paid for Van Dijk.
Yeah, we've done. He's 21 years old. He was on a 5-year contract. Like, people need to deep how what we've actually just done. Like,
it's a mad deal.
It's crazy. I don't know how we've got him. Like,
the only stupid people in this are Leicester, because now they sold him for 75 million when they had an offer for 70 million 3 weeks ago, and that would have given them 3 more weeks to sign a replacement. Instead, they've now played 3 of the 4 Premier League games so far without Fofana because he wanted to join us. So, as made their own record, chances are they probably would have got more points had they played Fofana in more of the games. So they've cost them. They gained 5 extra million, but they're not even getting all of that in one go, right? Because a lot of that is in add-ons. Okay, fair enough. Some of the 70 millions would have been add-ons the same, but still. They have less time to start a replacement, and they drop more points. So they're absolute clowns. But 2 more things. Now, number 1, Adam, we might do that, but let's do that once the transfer window is done. Let's not jump the gun on that one. Let's do that once the transfer window is done and we get a fair picture of what we've actually done during the summer, because there's probably still some to go. And then we have a question by Kyle, and I'd like to ask that to both of you guys. And I'll start with you, Pice. Are you happier with Fofana, or would you have been happier with Kunde?
Fofana,
disregarding what they would have cost them.
Fofana by miles for me. I liked Kunde, but I think Fofana is. I think he is the best young centre-back in the world. I think Kunde was up there, but I think Fofana is the best. As well, the fact that he's played in the Premier League, albeit not for too long, but you've seen, like, this guy's talent is just off the radar. Like, he's 21 years old. Like, I know Kunde is very good, but for me, Fofana is definitely worth that extra investment. And I think the reason why I'm so happy is because I just never thought that this could happen. Like, I didn't think this was even a possibility in my mind. So, yeah, I'm happy with Fofana.
That's kind of what Koulibaly was like for me, even though he didn't cost that much.
Exactly.
In the end.
Yeah, it was like,
I never assumed we would get another player from Napoli ever since Sarri and Jorginho.
If I'm honest. The fact that was done in like 2 days as well, I was like, what is going on? This has to be some clickbait or something. But yeah, I'm really happy with our defenders. I just hope we can get some good attackers as well.
There you go.
And a midfielder ideally, but Tuchel doesn't seem to care about that. So,
well, to be fair, today he did. Today he said, like, basically maybe we need a midfielder. But
He won 3 weeks ago, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Exactly. But Charlie, what about you? Fofana, Kunde? You happy
I'll
with
take
Fofana?
happy with Fofana. I think, as Pi said, for me, he is probably the standout young defender in world football. The Premier League experience is, admittedly, he's not played like a lot of Premier League, but he knows the league. That versatility.
And he's also played for a pretty good team. Do you know what I mean? I think
he's
that's
played for
also
a decent team
compared to Gordon, who's only played relegation scraps.
Yeah,
Fofana has actually played in I know he was injured when they won the title, or was he injured already when they won the FA Cup, or did he play?
No, he played in the final.
Well, there you go. So he's
dropped
literally
by the way, he
won
dropped the
domestic
masterclass
trophies.
against us.
Yeah, he was top drawer in the final.
Yeah.
He was ridiculous.
He was quality against us in that final, and let's not forget as well. Leicester bought him for like £34.5 million as well from St Etienne. So they've not even made that much money on him if you think about it. Really,
40 odd mil, not a lot.
Yeah, that's not a lot considering his potential.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, I would agree with the boys. I mean, I can't remember Charlie's opinion on that. If I'm perfectly honest with you, sorry, Charlie, but I know Pice was always very much so. Yes, sign Kunde. While I was like, okay, sign him then. I always did mention I think it is a bit of a concern, the lack of height. I think that now I don't see the problem if there's one shorter centre back. It's okay. And in the back three, it's also okay. But if we play a back four, it's Thiago Silva and Fofana at the time. Thiago Silva and Kunde at the time, that was like the thought process. And I'm like, well, no, that's not tall enough. Do you know what I mean? And clearly Thomas Tuchel thought so, because apparently that was one of his reasons for hesitation for Kunde. So yeah, I'm a big fan. One more piece of transfer news that we should probably quickly discuss before we move on. Ross Barkley has left Chelsea Football Club. And you know what? As much as we've taken a piss out of Ross Barkley, as much as all of us have been very angry at and with Ross Barkley many times over the years, I say fair play, Ross Barkley, Now, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe we just paid him out and that's why he's leaving. And then it's not a case of him not taking the money. Maybe we just paid him out his contract and we're like, just get gone. But I personally am like, yeah, fair play. He never caused trouble. I mean, he caused trouble on loans, but he didn't cause trouble at Chelsea. He didn't, moan about not playing. He didn't cause trouble. Like I say, it wasn't his fault that we signed him. That's Conte's fault. He all of a sudden wanted Ross Barkley, which no one will ever understand why that was the case. But it's not his fault that we signed him. And in the end, he agreed to leave early. Fair play. And I hope wherever he goes, unless it's a rival, that things go up for him from here. Because, again, it's not his fault. And I don't want him, I don't want people to be sad. Do you know what I mean? So I hope that he can still, because he was clearly a very talented player back at Everton, playing in the England national team and stuff. And everything has kind of gone to pieces for him. So I hope he can take steps upwards again. But yeah, fair play. Thanks for the things you did do, especially that one pass last season. Big fan of it. And not so much a fan of that penalty against Valencia, but that's Lampard's fault. Should have never let Barkley take the penalty. So yeah, in my opinion, Beaver Ross Barkley, see you later, mate. But glad he's gone, but fair play to him as well. Charlie, your thoughts on that? Also, not just on him, but also the fact that we did actually terminate his contract. I'm a huge fan. I thought someone tweeted you'd rather short-term pain for long-term gain than the other way around. And that's exactly what this is doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's something we should have been doing a long time ago, but we haven't done it. Obviously, you don't want to be doing it for every player, but players you're struggling to get rid of, they've got absolutely no future at the club. It's the best thing to do. And if it's a mutual, I mean, they always put it out as mutual, but even if we have had to pay him off, just take the short-term hit and get rid of him. I hope Batshuayi and Kennedy are next. We'll have to wait and see on that. But that's two more that we need to get rid of for sure. And in terms of Barkley, look, he come to Chelsea, fair enough. He did okay in certain games, in certain moments, but he's been nothing but professional. He's never kicked up a fuss. He's never kind of moaned or whatever like that. And he's decided to leave early when he could have obviously sat on, not even make the squad and just pick up his wages every week. So fair play to the guy, but it's the right thing to do, and it's stuff that we should be doing a lot more often. Getting more fringe players, just get rid of them. But yeah, fair play to the lad for ending his deal early, and I hope we could do that with a few others.
Fair play. Pice, then, your thoughts? I know none of us have been big fans of Ross Barkley, but in the end, I'm happy that he's gone. But number two, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. You know, not every player, looking at you, Mr. Drinkwater, although, of course, Jess probably didn't try that last year, but a lot of players would just sit here and take the wages. You know, 100K is nothing to laugh about. 100K a week, think about that. 400K a month. That's a lot of money. Like, it's not every day that people just accept not taking that and probably go somewhere where they won't make 400K in 3 months. Chances are his next contract. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we probably did pay off his contract. I think, you remember that video I sent you in the group chat about 2 or 3 weeks ago? Matt Law was saying on London is Blue podcast that he thinks towards the end of the transfer window, Bowley's going to start terminating contracts for people he doesn't think is going to be it and paying off the contracts. So, I mean, that's literally just happened with this. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it if this happens again. I do expect it to, honestly. I don't think he's going to be the only one.
I personally... Again, I could be completely wrong. This is just my personal opinion. I would assume that we probably paid some of that out because Barkley's also aware if we do terminate the contract, he will find it much easier to find a new club than while being signed to Chelsea. So, and I assume every professional athlete, other than, certain few, Bogart and, Vincent Bogart and a few examples like that, that he wants to still, improve himself and still have a professional career and not just sit on the bench and stand for the rest of his career. So maybe there was a case of we paid some of it rather than all of it. I don't know. Maybe we paid all of it, but still, I'm happy he's gone.
Yeah, maybe. I do expect more to come. And obviously get their contracts terminated or mutually agreed to leave. Matt Law was saying, I remember he was saying that essentially Todd Bowley did this when he first joined the LA Dodgers with the owners mutually agreed to start clearing out the squad essentially. And as Charlie said, this is something we need to be done for a long, long time. We've got too much deadwood on our books, and to be honest, I mean, I never see this ever happen in football. So I'm quite surprised. It's good, it's great. Creates more squad space, but yeah, I'm quite surprised it's happened. Like I didn't think this could. Obviously, it's possible. I just didn't see it really ever happening. But it's good.
Yeah, I feel like it's happened like maybe a couple of times that I've noticed over the years, not at Chelsea, of course, but it's happened maybe a couple of times. It's a very rare thing for sure. Very rare thing for sure.
He ain't messing about, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, there you go. Now, one bit of transfer news I actually forgot about. Apparently, Crystal Palace made a £27 million offer for Conor Gallagher. Now, Pies, number one, is that true? And number two, what do you think of that?
I think that is true. That was from Gary Jacob, I think, from the Times, who's very reliable. I would have held out for a bit more. But again, I mean, I don't know with Gallagher at the moment because he's been an absolute calamity in the position he's playing in, which I did predict in before pre-season. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you sell Gallagher, you need a midfielder in. Like we then got 4 midfielders, or so wouldn't we? We'd have like 4 midfielders or something. So I mean, or maybe 5 including Ruben. It's just. I don't know. I think maybe the only chance that he goes is in a Zaha deal, maybe on loan or something. I don't know. But at the same point, it's like, as much as I don't rate him playing in this position, I don't want him really to leave because we've then got even less numbers. But at the same time, I'm like, well, he's shit where he's playing, so just go. And from his point of view, it's like he wants to get in the World Cup squad. Well, you ain't doing that here. I'm not being funny. Like I don't think he's doing that here.
But is he realistically doing that at Palace?
He's got a better chance.
Go until the squad is picked? I doubt it.
He's got a much better chance if he goes and plays every week and hits that form he did last season. I mean, he got picked last season for a few friendlies and stuff. He got picked before, so I mean, who knows? I mean, yeah, everyone likes his work rate, but he doesn't really have much of a brain at the moment, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I do agree.
That red card, by the way, was so stupid. Chalobah was going to catch Barnes with ease. Did you see Chalobah was literally in front of him? And his pace.
Didn't he foul Vardy? I thought it was Vardy, not Barnes.
No, it was Barnes. It wasn't even Vardy. It was bloody Barnes. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, I'm not too sure on that, considering what Chalobah did with Vardy later on in the game. But there were certainly plenty of players around.
He was running to the wing as well. He was not even running straight. I don't understand why he did it. So annoying. We was all just thinking, oh, for God's sake, in the ground. Like, it was just, it's one of those ones where you watch and you just, like, a lot of people just turned away and was like, yeah, red card. Like, he's off. There's not even a debate about it. It's a joke.
There you go. We have a super chat here by Calidrox, who says, "You're so harsh on Conor. Keep same energy for Loftus-Cheek and Hudson-Odoi." I assume he's talking about you, Pice, because I'm not
really.
harsh.
They're good. The other two are good players, and Gallagher isn't. I hope this helps.
I mean, and also, like, I've never seen Ruben or Callum Hudson-Odoi get sent off after 28 minutes. So, like, in this scenario, right now, you can't expect people to be as harsh on them two.
I mean, when is like
Hudson-Odoi?
Hudson-Odoi's only real stinker, I think, was when he got took off after 20 minutes. But other than that, you know,
and when he handed in a transfer request, even if that wasn't a pitch stinker.
On the pitch, like, I mean, Ruben and Hudson-Odoi have, you know, even if for Hudson-Odoi it's minimal, they've still done more and played actual good games for Chelsea. So I don't think that situation's comparable. Like, I want Gallagher to do well, by the way. I predicted this. I don't think he's good enough for us yet. I'm sorry, I don't, and I'll stand by that until I see different. So I have to say my views. I'm sorry, but
yeah, no, fair play. Charlie, though, what do you think? £27 million for Gallagher. Number one, do you think we should accept that? Do you think we should sell him for more, or do you just think we should refuse to sell him and keep him, and then rather for depth, or actually because you rate him still?
Well, I think 27 million is taking the piss, given what you're seeing players going for in the market. People are talking of Gallagher like 40-odd million towards the start of the window, so I'm not really quite sure how Palace think he's worth 27. But, I mean, having said that, Gallagher, I think Gallagher's a good player, but as we've all said, you know, he's not a pivot player. He does not play. He's not a number 6. You know, I'd love Gallagher's number 8. He's great at arriving in the box. He's got that in his locker. He's a good footballer. But I think it's not working for him at the moment in the 6th position. We're obviously, problem we've got is that if we keep playing the system that we're playing, which it looks like we are going to, he's going to have to play in the 6 or not play at all, basically, because he's not really going to get any opportunities anywhere else in the team. I'm sure he can learn that position a bit better and get a bit better with it, but it's not his natural position. In terms of letting him go, for me, it would be stupid because 2 reasons. One, I still think I like Conor Gallagher. There's something about him. I still think he can make a success of himself at Chelsea. And 2, we've hardly got any midfield players as it is anyway. So unless another midfield player is coming in, then it's not even worth entertaining, because what we've got, Kante and Kovacic, who are made of glass. Both of them are going to have multiple injuries per season and miss large parts of the season. Jorginho can't play every single week, and then you'd have Ruben, and that's it. So you'd have 4 midfielders, 2 of which are injury prone and 1 which can't play every game. And even Ruben probably can't play every game either. So we're massively short in there. So for me, Gallagher, again, he's a Chelsea boy through and through. His family supports Chelsea and whatnot. He wants to succeed at the club. The owners like him. The manager likes him. They want to keep him. But I could potentially see maybe a loan deal happening. But again, no issue with a loan deal. But we have to bring someone in. We can't just let Gallagher go and have no other midfielders coming in. But I think Gallagher can still be a success at Chelsea. He's played 95 minutes of football in the first team. You know, there's the 60-odd minutes against Leeds, and then his half hour against Leicester at the weekend, getting sent off. I just think people are too quick to judge in terms of like writing players off after 90 minutes of football, but yet standing by the likes of Werner and Havertz for 2 and 3 seasons. Like it's a massive double standard.
One's cost a lot of money, others didn't. That's why they get more time than
but it's just. But you'd think like someone that's been at the academy all their life and it's come through the ranks and stuff, they'd be given even more time. But it just doesn't make.
Chukwuemeka will be given more time than Gallagher by the fans.
Yeah,
just because we paid
it's
20 million
honestly,
for him.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I like Conor Gallagher, but I think the sort of the criticism of him is borderline like ridiculous in terms of how many chances he's had, and that I think he's good enough to play for Chelsea. But again, the position is not helping him, and it's something that he's got to learn fast, because I can't see him getting too many opportunities in a different position on the pitch. But yeah, I do think he's good enough. But I just think we need to bring the same energy for all players and not just pick on. It's so easy to pick on Gallagher because he's the kind of he's newly back in the squad. He's from the academy and whatnot. And yet we give much more leeway to players that have come in for big money. Like where's the same standards for Gallagher as there was for Werner, Havertz, Ziyech and whatnot? It just isn't there.
Yeah, There you go. I mean, Calidrox comes with another donation saying Conor had 2 starts. Hudson-Odoi had 2 shit for 2 seasons, and Loftus-Cheek missed an open net. Now, number 1, it wasn't an open net; it was a goalie in goal. Number 2, if that's your judgment of what to be critical of players for, why aren't you hating on Raheem Sterling? Because he missed 5 of those until he scored his first goal in the last game, right? Open goals by your definition. Also, Loftus-Cheek was our second best player for a whole season 2 years ago, 3 years ago, before he had a really bad injury. Hudson-Odoi also had a really bad injury. Again, I'm not saying be harsh on Gallagher. I'm not harsh on Gallagher. But why you try to use people being harsh on Gallagher to shit on other players, I don't think what you're doing, I don't think you're quite understanding what you're doing here. But fair play, each to their own, I suppose. But we'll finally take it into actually previewing tomorrow's game. We've taken a lot of time to talk about news, but there was just a lot of news to get through. What can I do? But we need to discuss tomorrow because in the last game, we didn't have Koulibaly available. Now we do. The question is, will we now go back to the back 3 or will we stick to the back 4 and the 4-2-2 or 4-4-2 as Thomas Tuchel prefers to call it? That's going to be an interesting question. By the way, and I haven't told you yet, ladies and gentlemen, not sure why, but please subscribe if you're new here. That'd be
Get the sign up.
Sorry?
Get the sign up, mate. You got a bit of
get the sign up. I put the sign away. I don't know where I put it. I don't know if I threw it away. I can't remember. I can't find it anymore anyway. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe if you haven't already. On the road to 20,000 subscribers. So get subscribed and smash that like button for me. Like I say, now 350, more than 400 people. So get that like button smashed, please. We need to get at least 150 of them because there's plenty and plenty and plenty of you about. But Pice, I'll start with you. What do you think? I don't know what to do today with it. If I should ask you what you think Tuchel will do or what I should ask you what you would do. But you can just tell me both, if that makes sense. But what in terms of formation? What do you expect? What would you do? What do you think about it for tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the journalists that attended the press conference, whenever that was, for this Southampton game. Because they give me absolutely no idea as to what I should think in terms of rotation, so I'm just going to have to go on what I think will happen. I mean, yeah, so you thought this was the formation, right? We played against Leicester because, I'm not going to lie, when I was in the ground, I was really confused because I thought Mount was playing left wing back at one point with 2 strikers, and I was like, what is going on? I didn't understand.
Well, Tuchel confirmed that today again and after the game that's what we played.
I was so confused. I can't lie. Watching the ground, like definitely the second half, you can notice he put Reece to right wing back because Ruben was there in the first half because Reece was definitely right centre back. But do I think he'll start this? No, I don't think so.
I think he will. You know why?
Okay.
Because I think Thiago Silva gets rested and it's just Koulibaly and Chalobah at centre back instead now. Because look at how screwed Thiago Silva was basically throughout the whole game. He looked like he needed to come off, but he didn't. In the end. But
no one asked him about
injury
news.
Again? Do you know what I mean?
No one asked him about any injury news or anything. Like, fantastic, like great. We've got such a good idea of what we should pick. But go on and go with this. We'll go with this because we don't know, unfortunately, because no one really helped us out.
100%. Charlie, Koulibaly is back. Do you think Thiago Silva should be rested, like after the way he looked during the game and at the end of the game and stuff, and now it's only Tuesday and we're playing Saturday? Or do you think just stick with him, play a back 3?
That's a tough call, isn't it? Because he looked knackered on Saturday. He was down and out. But again, we know this guy's got his remarkable powers or whatever he's doing, but he seems to recover pretty quickly. So, I mean, I'd probably still play him. But again, if there was one to be rested at the back, you probably would say it would be him. But I think him starting or not, I think dictates what system will probably be played. So I mean, if Silva's going to start, then I think it will be a back 3. But if not, then there is potential for the back 4 maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But I think it'll probably be a 3, to be honest. I'd go with the 3, and then there's scope to switch about during the game or at half time or if the situation of the match requires it to do so. But I'd stick with a 3.
Okay, it's an interesting one. Like I say, I think now, is that in my personal ideal back 4? No. I do also see a small chance that we actually, rather than this one, play a 4-3-3 tomorrow because we don't have any 6s left. because Kovacic still can't start according to Tuchel. Kante, still injured, and Gallagher, who, as much as we don't think he should be playing there, Thomas Tuchel does. So with that being the case, I wouldn't be surprised if we play a 4-3-3 either. But what I'm not sure about is would it be Ruben here or Jorginho?
Well, he always plays Ruben there. Ruben. He always plays Ruben in a 6, even when Jorginho plays. I don't get it.
He does, but only ever after he takes Jorginho off, though. So what if they're both on the pitch at the same time? Then who plays where? That's why I still think it's a possibility. This one.
Wait, Jorginho needs some rest as well. The guy's played every game, like full 90.
Well, we haven't got the numbers to do it.
I know, that's the problem.
We don't have about that. We don't have enough players, bro.
That's the fucking problem. Jorginho can't rest because we ain't got anyone who's the alternative 6.
He hasn't played full 90 yet, though, to be fair, so maybe he's okay. Do you know what I mean? It's only like I feel like for now, Thiago Silva is only because he's 37, nearly 38, right? I think every other player, I mean, we're 4 games into the season, we've only played on the weekend.
Jorginho's not played a 90 yet.
No, it's been subbed off every game.
The hell? Fair enough.
A bit weird, yeah, when you think about it. In some of these occasions, especially. I mean, sometimes it made sense, but sometimes it really didn't. So it was a bit strange. But is that way. Because we had 2 people now going for this, Charlie, we'll keep it at that. But obviously, we're aware that you would have picked the back 3. Now, if it is that, now, of course, we know Koulibaly will play. I mean, Thomas Tuchel confirmed that.
That's been confirmed, yeah.
Yeah. I guess if Thiago Silva plays anyway, I guess then he just plays there. So I guess if Thiago Silva plays, he plays there, and we all know that. But if he doesn't play, Chalobah, I assume.
Yeah.
Who else could you pick, really?
Well, there's no one else to pick.
Exactly. Price also Chalobah in your end, or would you do something like Aspie centre back in a back 4, which I personally wouldn't do. But
I'd do Chalobah, but he's got to fix up on his lapses of concentration because it was abysmal at the weekend, honestly.
You know what I noticed, by the way? Chalobah, in the second half, once we switched to the back 3 for the second half with the red card, and Koulibaly not being there and Aspie being the one that came on, Chalobah played left centre back. I think that's why he started to struggle more, because he's not used to that side. I think that's why he tried this rash clearance and then Vardy just ran past him. I think on his right, he knows his distances. He knows because he's more comfortable with his right foot. I think that doesn't happen to him. That's very same thing if the whole thing is on the flip side. Personally, maybe I'm just giving him an excuse that I shouldn't be giving him. I don't know. But I felt in the first half, I thought he played pretty well. And then even when we were down to 10, while he was still on the right, but when he was over the left, he started to struggle a bit more. So as long as he's not on the left tomorrow, I think he's going to be okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, go for it. I'd rather Aspie not be than a 4, to be honest with you.
No, exactly.
I just I do worry a little bit in terms of like Chalobah and Koulibaly. Would you rather have 2 sort of experienced players there, or would you rather that mixture of what we've got? I don't know. I don't think he'd ever play Aspie there though. Anyway, so I think it would.
No,
be
I don't either. If I'm honest.
Yeah,
I mean, we should have Fofana come Saturday for the next game anyway, so then it's going to be a bit easier. And we're not sat here saying, well, Chalobah is the only option if Thiago Silva's rested. Then we have at least one more option, which is good. But the next question will be now, of course, theoretically, Aspie could play right back, but I think Reece James will stay in the team, and I think you both probably agree, right, Charlie?
Yeah, 100%. It's a no-brainer.
There you go. Pies, you as well?
Yeah, I'd go Reece James. As long as he's, feeling all right, I'd go for him.
Exactly. And of course, if we do play these 3, we can always do what we kind of even did in the last game, still did a little bit, that off the ball, we shift it a little bit to a back 3, and then Reece just slots in as the right centre-back, and Koulibaly is the left centre-back. So that allows, so obviously that's Aspie. If Aspie plays right back, that obviously the same thing can happen. But what about the other side? Because we have Cucurella and Chilwell there. Now, Chilwell didn't look amazing against Everton. Still won us the match-winning penalty, though. And hasn't really played much since. Only very few minutes towards the very end of games in the last 2. But, and I'll start with you on this one, Pies. Do you think now that we're playing 3 days after the last game, is this a start for Chilwell? Or do you just stick with Cucurella?
I was going to go with Chilwell, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if Cucurella plays, but I think he has played a lot lately. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the game that he gets the rest. I'd go Chilwell. I'd start him, give him a start. I think it's only fair. I mean, Cucurella has been playing decent apart from that pass from the corner. I really liked that he tried that ball. You know, when Sterling hit the post, by the way. Like, you
Yes.
don't even like, I love Chilwell, but Chilwell and Alonso would just keep running down the line there. I'm sure they wouldn't do that.
Don't you? I'm
Like,
not sure
I'm
if have you
sure.
seen it back, or did you only see it live?
No, it was lucky to go through, but I'm
Yeah.
sure they would have kept running down the line. That attack would have been gone. Like,
Yeah,
I'm dead
because
sure.
what I think is the pass didn't come off the way he wanted it. I don't think he tried to play it that way. I think he tried to visit around all the defenders to the far post, but he didn't. Like,
Yeah, but
he
like
accidentally
the
did it
point
too
is,
close.
like,
That's why I went through all their legs.
yeah, but the point is, at least he tried it, and I
Yeah.
like that. And I just, Alonso 100%. Chilwell, I'm not so sure, but I just think Cucurella
Chilwell
is
probably
like,
keeps running and tries to score himself, and Alonso
yeah,
is 50 meters
don't know,
further back because so slow.
I thought like, it was one of those ones I was in the ground. I just wasn't expecting it. I expected him to keep running, and the fact that he tried it, I was like, okay, that's really
Very
nice.
good ball from Havertz to Cucurella as well in that situation. By the way, it was a very good pass.
It was a good. There's a clip on Twitter. It was like 42 seconds. I think for the second Sterling goal as well. The build up was like amazing. Apart from when Reece James slowed it down, but then we got the goal in the end from Reece James' cross. So yeah.
Can't complain too much. There you go. There you go. Charlie, would you agree with Pice that this is a chance to start Chilwell? Or would you stick with Cucurella? Now, again, my thinking is I don't think Cucurella necessarily needs the rest. I think if we play Chilwell, it's purely to give Chilwell a game rather than because Cucurella needs the rest.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would probably give Chilwell the nod in this one. You know, he needs to get some more meaningful minutes. He needs to work his way back up to full fitness, get back up to speed with things. And this is the whole reason you've got a squad and you have competition for paces and you have quality, because you can make changes and you've got someone of as good a quality coming in. So you shouldn't really make too much of a difference. So for me, as well as Cucurella's played, and it's early days in the season, he could probably still play. This is the reason we've got a squad. And we're not in a position where we have to play someone every week because the other choice is Alonso or Malang Sarr. We've actually got two great options in this position. So let's use them. And for me, Chilwell needs the minutes, as I said. So yeah. I'd probably give him the nod tomorrow, for sure.
There you go. I mean, Chilwell will only get back to his best if he gets game time. So if he doesn't get game time, he will never be back to his best. So maybe it's what we need to do. Maybe you just play him for an hour and bring Cucurella on for the last 30 minutes. I would probably personally do that now that we have 5 subs available anyway. But yeah, I'd probably agree with you boys. Now, I hope Tuchel explains that to Cucurella well, because I don't think Cucurella deserves to be dropped by any means. So I think he explains it well. But yeah, I would probably go along with it.
And as I said, they could both play anyway. If we play a 3, I wouldn't be surprised if Cucurella maybe played left centre back if Silva's rested and Chilwell. I was
going to
say
the same thing. I was going to say the same thing. Don't you think Koulibaly might play second centre back in a 3, and then they might both play Chilwell and Cucurella? But we're doing this now anyway. But I just did think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they could both play. I think there's a strong chance of that.
Could potentially be the case for sure. Yeah. Why not? Why not? I mean, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I don't really know what to add to it. Yeah, it could very well be the case. Why not? Why not? But let's get to the midfield. Now, the one guy we know who will play is Jorginho. The question is, who's the next guy going to be? Because
it's got to be Ruben.
Is it going to be Ruben? Or is it going to be Mason Mount? That's basically the two main options, isn't it? And I personally, I'm going to go first on this one. I would put Mount there. And I'll tell you why. Number one, I think that he definitely starts because he only played 45 minutes in the last game. So I don't see him being left out personally. But, and I've said that we were talking about this after the last game. Obviously, you boys weren't here for that. But I was saying we've played a lot of games now with the 4-2-2. Not crazy amounts, but still a certain amount of games. And I can't remember Mason Mount being good in that formation ever. So maybe if we still want to play him while playing this formation, now that we have injuries, players missing next to Jorginho anyway, rather than forcing him into one of these other positions where he clearly doesn't work, maybe we should just play him there. And maybe and we can leave Ruben in that position where he's played a fair few games now, rather than forcing him to shift around. Charlie, what would you make of that? Or would you potentially throw in a Chukwuemeka? Or would you just put Ruben?
Chukwuemeka is not probably won't even be in the squad. I'd just stick Ruben in there, to be perfectly honest, mate. I think I can understand your point, but I think it's perhaps a little bit too deep for Mount. I'd probably rather have him in one of these 2 positions ahead of the middle 2, if he was going to play at all. But I also think Mount needs to be benched. I think, he's got to realise that there's consequences for not playing
I think
well.
that too, but think about
his
if you
position's
put
too
Ruben
safe
here,
in the team.
I hear you, but if you put Ruben here, Charlie, and Mount is dropped, who fills all these positions that we have?
Well, this is the other problem, isn't it? Because you think, okay, you drop Mount and you've got 4 positions to fill. So
that's why I would put Mount here.
Yeah. So you've then got Sterling will take one of those positions, and then you're thinking, right, well, I think Havertz should be benched as well. But then you're basically fucked because we haven't got any other options. So, you're thinking, it's, to be fair, I can understand your point there, but I personally wouldn't play him. I think Mount needs benching. I think he needs to realise that his position is not as safe as he thinks it is. And there's standards at Chelsea Football Club. And if you don't perform week in, week out, this is 4 games now, and arguably he's been pretty shit in all of them. Spurs, he was quite good, but the rest of them, he's been terrible. So, there's got to be standards. You can't play 4 games in a row starting and be shit in all of them. Same with Kai Havertz. You've got to have standards at the club and realise if you don't play well, you will be benched. And that has to happen.
Fair play. Now, Pice, if I asked you the same question, who would you play in midfield then? Ruben? Mount? Someone else?
I don't know. The thing is about Mount is I do agree he does need to be benched, but at the same time, Southampton, Portsmouth, it was his club growing up. He scored a lot of goals. I saw he scores every time against Southampton. So I would want him further forward. But then again, I mean, in this formation, he hasn't been doing great. I would play Ruben there. I think. Yeah, I'll go with Ruben.
Okay. Fair play. I leave it as such for now because I'll be very intrigued who you guys mention for the next positions then. Now, if Ruben is here, and I'll start with you on this one, Charlie. I would, Pice. I assume you're going to pick Pulisic for one of the two. But what about the other one? Does Ziyech start? Or who else do you put there?
I was going to do...
Or are you going to just play Mount anyway?
You know what? This is interesting because I don't really want Havertz to play, to be honest, because he looked knackered. He looked knackered and also...
And he played the full 90 while Mount only played 45.
I was really surprised, bro, you didn't come on at the weekend. I was shocked. He was warming up for ages and he just didn't come on.
We had a sub left. I don't get it.
That was the one thing I was like, Tuchel, what are you doing?
It's typical Tuchel, Pep, that kind of action. I could cry about 5 subs for 3 years straight and then you get it.
It was like, I think it was like 85 minutes. I think we had a goal kick, right? And Havertz could have got it, but he didn't even attempt to run. He jogged, and I was like, "This guy's fucked. Get him off!" And he just didn't come off. I was like, "Tuchel, what are you doing?" But for that reason, I'm not sure if he's going to play.
I personally think he will, but I see your point.
I don't know. I'll go something outside the box. I'll go Pulisic on the left, Mount on the right, Sterling and Broja up front. I'll go with that. Broja running the right.
You would rather drop Havertz than Mount?
Yeah, just because I think
or
Mount
is it
always
purely because one played 90 and one only played 45?
That and Mount always scores against them because he's from Portsmouth and he loves rattling them. So if there's going to be a game that he scores in, I think it's going to be this one to get his form back. But I do see the other side of, he hasn't been playing well. This formation, he doesn't usually play well, but look, we'll see. I'd go with that.
There you go. Charlie, would you agree with that? Or
you
said you wanted Mount dropped and then
but to be fair, if we're going with this system, as we've said, if you drop Mount as well, it's basically plays Ziyech who wants out. So there aren't really any other options. So you'd have to say he probably would play there for 2 reasons. The fact that he played only 45 minutes against Leicester on the weekend, and the fact against Southampton, he seems to do pretty well. He's a Portsmouth boy, so he's always up for it when he goes there. So in this system, for lack of options, really, you'd have to stick him there. And then with Pice, I totally agree with the rest. I think Pulisic deserves an opportunity. And then I think Havertz needs to be benched, not only because he looked knackered after the weekend, but he hasn't been up to standard either. 4 games where, in my opinion, he's been poor. And then, so there's got to be accountability, as I've said. So, I think Broja deserves an opportunity. Going back to Southampton, where he was on loan last season, I think it's a perfect chance to throw him in and get some minutes. I mean, if Broja can't get any minutes in this game, when is he going to get any minutes? This is the opportunity to play him. So use him. This is why we've got a squad. Use these
I
players.
mean, it might be his only appearance of the season, because if we sign a striker, I still wouldn't be surprised if Brozier goes out on loan late in the window, if I'm honest.
Well, exactly. So, yeah, I'd go. This is exactly what I'd go with. I'd go with Sterling and Brozier, and then Pulisic on that left-hand side, because he deserves a run, because, let's be honest, the others in the front three, well, Barb, Sterling, Matt and Havertz, have been shocking. So Pulisic does deserve an opportunity.
Fair play. Now, like I said, I would probably play Mount in midfield to leave Ruben here, because I think he's now gotten used to that position and he's played well every time. Why take him out of it, personally? While Mount has played similar position, but has played really bad every time. So I would think, if move anyone, move him. And I just think Mount deserves to be dropped more than Havertz, if anything. Now, I know I'm not dropping him, but the only reason I'm not dropping him is because we have 15 injured midfielders and one that really wanted to get himself sent off, apparently. I would play that, and then I want to give Brozier the chance, but I'm also like, the fact that he wasn't subbed on in the last game makes me think, that's why I just said what I said in terms of him getting loaned out, like on deadline day or whatever. I think that the fact that he didn't even come on last game when Havertz, number one, ran his socks off all game long, was clearly tired anyway, and we could have done with some fresh legs. The fact he didn't come on then makes me think the plan is never for Brozier to stay once we've signed a striker. And that makes, at that point, I'm like, why even give him a start then? Like, if we're planning to give him away anyway, why even start him? And if we're not planning to give him away, why the fuck wasn't he subbed on last game? Do you know what I mean?
We're getting all these messages coming out, like, from journalists that Tuchel rates him highly, and that, even the board don't want to let him go, like the new ownership and stuff.
Well, there was also reports that we bid 25 million plus Gallagher plus Brozier for Gordon, but that might have been bollocks.
Yeah, that was footy inside. I wouldn't take them too seriously.
Yeah, fair play. There you go. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, you know what? I'll go with this. I just, compared to you two, I just switch Mount and Ruben round. I think that would be my preference, but I think I give Brozier a chance. I think, yeah, I will do. And if it doesn't work, we can always bring on Havertz anyway. Even that, in terms of threats up front, will probably not be that much different. But as a last thing, before we round this out very, very soon, what are you expecting from the game? Do you think we're gonna, I don't know, capitulate again? How much did we win by there last season? 6-0, was it? Well, now, last season we won 3-0 at Leeds, and now we lost 3-0. Are we going to lose 6-0 tomorrow, Charlie?
Well, I certainly hope not, mate. But it's a fixture we've traditionally, we do pretty well in. As you say, we got the 6-0 there last season. We do tend to do reasonably well there, and I think it's important to follow up the weekend with another win just to back it up. Again, obviously, the players will be tired because playing with a man down for 70 minutes is obviously a lot more tiring than having that additional man. But we've got the quality. We've got the sort of the mentality, the know-how to win this game. But yeah, I don't know. At the moment, I'm just always going into Chelsea games, just still not sure what Chelsea's going to turn up. Is it going to be the Chelsea that turns up like it did against Tottenham, or are we going to get the Leeds Chelsea? Like, because we have got such a lack of consistency, I don't really know what sort of team's going to turn up. But I mean, we shouldn't really struggle too much to beat Southampton. I know they did pretty well against United on the weekend. I know they lost, but they still created a lot of opportunities. It won't be an easy game, but I would expect us to win tomorrow.
I know we were shit against Leeds, but surely we're still better than bloody Man United. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be disappointed if we didn't win tomorrow. I think these are the sort of games we have to be winning.
100%. And we have such a good record away at Southampton anyway. So, I mean, we actually will get through the little quiz that Bertram always sends me. But one thing I've realised, we didn't actually pick a goalie. Was Mendy good enough last game to start this one again, Charlie? Or is it now?
Yeah, for sure, mate. I mean, as Pice was saying, in the stadium, because the goal went in so quick, it's hard to sort of see if he's to blame. But at the end of the day, it's one of them shots which is a bullet. Like, there's nothing you could really do about it. And I think it's an easy cop-out to criticise the keeper for being beaten at his near post. So he kept us in the game, made some good saves, was very good in those one-on-ones against Vardy. So, yeah, for sure, he stays in the sticks for me.
Fair. And I assume you agree, Pice, that Mendy should play again?
Yeah, just about. I think based off his saves last game, I still do think he cost us a bit with that goal kick out, which they scored from. But Yeah, he does worry me. He does worry me with his feet, I have to say. Definitely not feeling as secure as I was.
The part I don't
within the goal
understand
before.
is he seemingly doesn't realize or doesn't agree that he struggles with the ball at his feet, because we always have the option to just pass it to a centre back or a left back. Like he doesn't have to do Cruyff turns, and he doesn't have to
To be
always
fair,
play the perfect over, like, ball to Havertz there. Do you know what I mean? Like just play to Reece James.
To be fair, there was a couple of times, I think it was about 75, 80 minutes, where you could tell the crowd, like behind the goal, Matthew Harding was getting a bit restless. And I think in other games he would have passed the ball out, but he was just smashing them long. And I was thinking, right, so why don't you just do this normally then? Like, I know it's an instruction, but it does annoy me how, he could have done that against Leeds and it cost us a goal.
And then maybe we don't lose the whole game.
Yeah, and it just frustrates me. Like, why? But yeah, at least he didn't mess up again at the weekend with his, trying to Cruyff turn.
Fair play. What about you then, Pies? What are you expecting tomorrow? Do you think we're gonna come through and use the positives from Leicester to get 2 wins on the bounce for the first time this season, unfortunately? Or do you fear that we're gonna bottle it?
I mean, I hope so. I don't think it's going to be as easy as last season. It's a night game. They'll be up for it. Hopefully, we're up for it as well. We need to set the tempo from the off, and I'm just intrigued to see the lineup more than anything. How many changes do we make? Obviously, I'll be less confident without Thiago Silva at the back, just because I think he is that calming presence in the back. And Koulibaly's starting again. He can't have another game like Leeds. He needs to be much less, rash. Don't make stupid decisions. Just be careful. Play like
just
you
don't
did
get
against
yourself
Everton.
booked in the first 10 minutes. That would already be a start.
Exactly. Southampton will try and stretch us. They've got Armstrong and Adams up front. They will run. And you know what is actually making me shit myself is the fact that Ward-Prowse is on the set pieces. And what can't we do at the moment? Defend set pieces. So that is that's kind of making me shit myself a little bit. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea, though.
Okay. Charlie, did you give a prediction in the end, or did I cut you off before?
No, I didn't give a score prediction, but I mean, I went 2-1 at the weekend and it was right. So I think a 2-1 feels right again. Let's just go with it. I think we'll concede, but I do think we've got enough about us to bag a couple goals.
Yeah. I'm going to say 2-0. Feel like if they don't score against United, I have hope that they won't score against us. Do you know what I mean? I'll make it that simple. But let's get to that little quiz at the very end. And you know what, Pies? You will be very happy to hear this. I asked Bertram, so he can make the question still a little bit more difficult, not too easy. He should give me multiple choice to make it a little bit simpler for you guys. So that's what we have today. So,
fantastic.
Question number 1 for kind of as a Chelsea versus Southampton kind of question. Number 1, how many ex-Chelsea players do Southampton currently boast in their squad? Now, I can give you options. It's 1, 2, 3, or 4, but it's one of those 4. But yeah, how many is it? And I don't know, extra credit if you can name them all. Think about it for a second, ladies and gentlemen in the chat. Get involved as well. 1, 2, 3, or 4 ex-Chelsea players at Southampton. And if either of you have a clue, or an idea, just shout it out.
There's definitely one that I can think of.
I'm going 2.
Okay, Charlie, what are you going for?
Well, I'm just kind of visualising the team at the moment. Oh no, it's 2. It's 2. I've got it. Yeah, it's 2.
Fortunately, boys, everyone in the chat and you boys have both been wrong because you forgot about Willy Caballero, who plays for Southampton.
Oh,
wait, what? He's at Southampton?
Yeah, he's been there for a little while.
You need to follow him on Instagram.
Mate, what? I did not know that. I thought you retired.
No. He went to them as a free agent whenever. It's quite funny, but yeah, he did. So it's Caballero, Romeo, as was said in the chat, and of course
Livramento.
Yeah, because Hasenhüttl Bertrand left for Leicester.
Leicester still, yeah.
Question number 2: which current Chelsea player has a well-known dislike for Southampton? Now, I don't need to give you a multiple choice for this one. There's 2 seconds.
Oh, we know that, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Give the chat a minute, but I'm sure you all know who doesn't like Southampton that plays for Chelsea. Pice has touched on it earlier already. But there you go. I see, Charlie, who is it?
Mount.
There you go. I said it earlier already, so one of them. Next question. Yes, a few people say Mount in the chat. Chelsea normally have quite a good grip at St. Mary's. Bertram words these questions hilariously sometimes. But yeah, Chelsea normally have quite a good grip at St. Mary's. When was the last time we lost there? A, in the 16-17 season. B, in the 2010-2011 season. C, 2012-2013 season. Or 2015-2016 season. Now, I know I said a lot of numbers there, but I can go through it again. 16-17, 10-11, 12-13, or 15-16.
I'm buzzing in.
Okay.
Buzzing in.
15-16. It's got to be.
Okay. What do you think, Charlie?
Surely.
Well, I mean, I would have said that because we did lose quite a few games that season. So
we lost at home because I remember Pella scoring like 2 goals.
Yeah, I mean,
was that season? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
so.
it was.
I mean, that's the obvious one for me. I mean, I can't really remember. To be honest, I can't remember any of them. But I definitely know in 15-16 we did lose a lot of games. Yeah. So I'm just going to go with that one.
I think it's not. I don't think it's 16-17 because Costa scored that screamer.
Yeah.
Remember? I don't think it's that. To be honest, I don't know about the 10-12 or whatever you obviously said. I'm just going to go 15-16 because I think we were dog shit that season. Watch it.
We were. Now, J Cam put in the chat 3-1 in 15-16. Now, if that's true, Bertram had a hammer because he said the last time we lost at Southampton was actually the 12-13 season when we lost 2-1. Now, again, I can Google it quickly if you want.
I'm doing it right now. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, you Google that and figure out what the result was in 15-16.
Wait, would it have been 2015 or 16? Which one would that have been?
Depends when it came in the season. It depends if it come in the first half of the season or not.
So you've got Southampton.
Just put in Southampton versus Chelsea 15/16.
Well, we won both times there.
Apparently, in the 15?
In 2016, we won 2-1 in February, 3 and 2-0 in October.
Oh, so it wasn't that season then.
Well, there you go. So it wasn't that season. Yeah. So it was the 2012-13 season, and Bertram was probably correct then.
So we hadn't lost there for 10 years then.
Exactly, which is why we definitely can't start doing that tomorrow.
That's an incoming L then.
Don't jinx it, bro. Don't jinx it. Next question, which is quite a funny one. We were talking about last season's result when we won 6-0 there. Which one of the following players did not score against Southampton during our 6-0 drubbing? Not sure what that word is, but 6-0 drubbing of them last season. Option number A, Kai Havertz. Option number B, Marcus Alonso. Option number C, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. And option number D, Mason Mount. Who do you think did not score?
I know this.
It was Ruben didn't score.
Loftus-Cheek, yeah, Loftus-Cheek.
Exactly. Pretty simple one. I think you picked the too easy wrong option there. I think you should have picked, like, I don't know, Lukaku or something. Or was he injured? He was probably injured when we won 6.
I think he was injured in that game, yeah.
Every time we played well, Lukaku was injured, so, and now I have a very funny question, which I don't expect either of you to know. Maybe Charlie, because he lives in somewhat the vicinity. What was Southampton Stadium previously called? Or maybe it was their previous stadium.
I know.
Either A, the Twine Park, B, the Dell, C, Baseball Ground, bit weird, D, South Sea Stadium, or E, Mason Mount Arena.
Is that definitely right? Is this like what their stadium was before St. Mary's?
Yes, or what their old stadium was called, I think.
Yeah, but their old stadium was called the Dell.
That was their option.
That was an option, was it? Oh, I've just ruined it then. I didn't even hear that one.
Mate, I didn't have a
clue. Well, that's fucked then. Sorry, boys.
I didn't have a clue anyway, so you just go ahead.
Yeah, it's the Dell.
Fuck no.
So now, yeah, it is the Dell. It is the Dell. Now I'm confused though because Cam in the chat said again that we lost in 2015-16, but Post just googled it.
Maybe it was a cup game.
Maybe we lost in a cup game. That could be the case. Now let me see. October 20. No. Jay, at Stamford Bridge we lost 3-1, but not at home, right? In the 15-16 season, sorry, not at Southampton. Away we won 2-1, and in the 14-15 season we drew 1-1. So yeah, we lost 3-1 at home, but we won away, which is good. But yeah, boys, there is one last question about all the goal scorers, but I think we've gone long enough. I know Charlie doesn't have endless amounts of times anyway, so I think we're going to we're going to wrap this one up here. I hope you enjoyed the question, especially the Mason Mount, the ring of Southampton, which is quite funny. But sure. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all, especially if you're still here. 300 of you still here at the very end, so I appreciate that a lot. Get subscribed if you haven't already. Please do. Smash the like button as well. And also, please do follow both of my wonderful guests. Charlie's link to his channel is down in the description below, of course, at the Blues Brothers. And Pice's Twitter and website are both linked, not launched. But yeah, both linked in the description, chelseafc365.com. Go look at that. And, I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. Up to numbers. Hopefully get win tomorrow. I'll see you next time.